Dr. Hayden Eastwood has set up a carbon trading company in South Africa. It is called Climate Africa, and we are here on the Cape Peninsula near Kommetjie village.
Carbon trading arose 10 to 15 years ago in order to deal with the problem of our increasing greenhouse gas emissions. And the idea behind carbon trading is that you assign an artificial value to a quantity of carbon, and that you then trade this quantity in order to create an economic incentive to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So for example, at the moment, within the voluntary carbon sector, you're looking at carbon projects trading in the region of $20 per ton. Some are cheaper than that, some are more expensive than that. Depends on the quality of the carbon project that's being sold. And these ideas together are supposed to be reducing the incentive to produce greenhouse gas emissions.
What are some of the potential benefits of this?
Well, we think that carbon trading and the whole carbon finance mechanism that exists in the world at the moment is an incredibly powerful tool for bringing about sustainable development in Africa. For example, there's huge amounts of money available to come into making new solutions, solutions that will improve people's lives, that will help South Africa and Africa as a whole to develop without the sort of heinous pollution that the Western world saw during its own development, and without the catastrophic destruction of the wilderness that happened. So we feel quite positive that if it's done right, it can really help to make Southern Africa a better place to live for a lot of people.
Can you give us an example of that?
Well, for example, the project that we're doing is a heat retention cooker. So how it works is that somebody heats up whatever their food is to a boiling point, or whatever food temperature it needs to be in order to cook. They use that with the kerosene, so they actually heat it up by normal means. However, once it's actually at the right temperature, what you do is you just stick it in here, put the insulator on top, and draw the bag closed, and you can leave it to cook like that without any further heating for however long it takes. Often it does sort of slightly extend the cooking period, but for people who get to save an enormous amount of kerosene every week by doing this simple process, it has great benefits for them.
But now, how does that tie in with carbon trading?
Okay.
That product.
So,
how does it? Can you explain that mechanism?
Okay. So the way this ties in with carbon trading is the following. Essentially, every person that cooks every week will use a certain amount of kerosene, and we would we have done extensive studies to quantify the amount of kerosene used by people who cook in an everyday way. And once we do this, we can calculate how much would be saved by using one of these contraptions, and the saving that we create corresponds to a carbon saving also, and that in turn corresponds to a certain quantity of money. And by doing that calculation, we can mobilize that equivalent finance into making products like this. So one of the main barriers to entry, as we see it in South Africa, is that for projects to be done properly here, to fulfill either the gold standard or the voluntary carbon standard or some other robust standard, there's a lot of bureaucracy to go through, a lot of hoops to jump through for project developers, and all of this costs money, and it requires expertise. In South Africa, that expertise isn't quite there yet, and neither is the sort of bridging finance which allows people to effectively explore project ideas and bring good project ideas to buyers overseas.